dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities.
Very dangerous putting them together. I don't think the boy can handle it. I don't trust him.
In 2005, George Lucas completed his ambitious prequel trilogy with Star Wars, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. This final chapter bridges the gap between the rise of Anakin Skywalker and the emergence of Darth Vader, connecting directly to the original trilogy that captivated audiences decades earlier. Set against the backdrop of the Clone Wars, this film chronicles the final days of the Galactic Republic as it transforms into the tyrannical empire. At its core, Revenge of the Sith is a tragedy. It follows Anakin Skywalker, a powerful Jedi Knight tormented by premonitions of his pregnant wife Padmé's death. Chancellor Palpatine, secretly the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, exploits Anakin's fears, promising him the power to save those he loves if he embraces the dark side of the Force. As Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Jedi Council grow increasingly suspicious of Palpatine's accumulation of emergency powers, Anakin finds himself torn between his loyalty to the Jedi and his desperate desire to protect Padmé. The film explores themes of corruption, manipulation, and the fragility of democratic institutions. It shows how fear can be weaponized to dismantle freedom and how good intentions can lead to catastrophic consequences. Unlike most Star Wars films, there is no happy ending here, only the completion of Anakin's tragic fall and the birth of an era of darkness. Released at a time when America was engaged in post-9/11 conflicts and debates about security versus liberty, Revenge of the Sith resonated with audiences on multiple levels. It was the darkest Star Wars film to date, earning a PG-13 rating and featuring emotional depth that surprised many critics. While initially receiving mixed reviews, the film has since been reassessed by fans and critics alike as perhaps the strongest entry in the prequel trilogy, with moments of genuine emotional power that continue to resonate nearly 2 decades later. Revenge of the Sith represents the culmination of George Lucas's digital filmmaking revolution. As the final prequel film, it showcases the most advanced visual effects of the trilogy, with over 2,200 special effects shots, more than episodes 1 and 2 combined. Industrial light and magic pushed the boundaries of CGI technology, creating fully digital environments for 95% of the film's scenes, from the sprawling cityscape of Coruscant to the volcanic hellscape of Mustafar. The film's visual language effectively communicates its darker themes through deliberate cinematography choices. Cinematographer David Tattersall employs heavy shadows, dramatic low angles, and a gradually darkening color palette that shifts as Anakin falls deeper under Palpatine's influence. The opera scene, where Palpatine relates the tragedy of Darth Plagueis, masterfully uses red lighting and shadows to visually foreshadow Anakin's corruption, with half his face often shrouded in darkness. The lightsaber duels in Revenge of the Sith represent the pinnacle of the prequel trilogy's choreography. Fight coordinator Nick Gillard created what he called a 9-degree difficulty for the climactic Mustafar duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan, the most complex fight in the saga. The fluid, acrobatic combat showcases the characters at the height of their abilities, while the emotional weight behind each strike tells the story of their relationship's collapse. John Williams' score deserves special recognition for its emotional resonance. Building on themes established in previous films, Williams introduces the haunting Battle of the Heroes for the Anakin-Obi-Wan confrontation, while Anakin's dark deeds underscores his fall with ominous choral elements. The score's ability to evoke both tragedy and epic grandeur helps elevate key moments beyond their visual spectacle. The production design team created memorable environments that serve as visual metaphors for the story's themes. The Jedi Temple's architecture emphasizes order and light, contrasting sharply with the industrial, flame-engulfed landscapes of Mustafar, where Anakin completes his transformation. This visual journey from light to darkness mirrors Anakin's own path and reinforces the film's central tragedy through environmental storytelling. The film's opening sequence deserves particular technical analysis as a showcase of Lucas's visual storytelling prowess. The tracking shot that follows Anakin and Obi-Wan starfighters through the chaotic Battle of Coruscant remains one of the most technically ambitious continuous shots in the saga. It seamlessly blends digital ships, explosions, and environments while maintaining narrative clarity throughout the frenetic action. This sequence established new benchmarks for space battle choreography that influenced sci-fi filmmaking for years to come. Revenge of the Sith also marks significant advancements in digital character creation. General Grievous represented a breakthrough in animated character design, combining insectoid movement patterns with mechanical precision. His four-armed lightsaber combat required innovative animation rigging to maintain believable physics while delivering visually spectacular combat sequences. Similarly, the digital transformation of Anakin into the burned, scarred version on Mustafar required meticulous attention to realistic tissue damage and medical trauma without exceeding the PG-13 rating boundaries. The film's use of practical effects alongside digital elements deserves recognition. While predominantly CGI-driven, key sequences incorporated physical elements that grounded the fantasy. The Mustafar duel utilized practical fire elements composited with digital environments, while many of the film's explosion sequences combined miniature photography with digital enhancement. This hybrid approach created a visual texture that distinguished Revenge of the Sith from fully digital productions of its era, maintaining connection to the original trilogy's practical effects heritage while embracing new technologies. Revenge of the Sith demanded complex emotional performances from its cast, who needed to convey both the grand operatic scale of the Star Wars universe and the intimate, personal tragedies at its core. Hayden Christensen's portrayal of Anakin Skywalker stands at the center of this challenge. His performance captures the character's internal conflict, showing glimpses of the good man being consumed by fear, jealousy, and rage. Christensen's physical transformation throughout the film, from his increasingly haunted expressions to his final agonized form on Mustafar, effectively traces Anakin's descent into darkness. Ewan McGregor delivers his strongest performance as Obi-Wan Kenobi in the trilogy, embodying both the confident Jedi Master and the devastated friend. McGregor's portrayal of Obi-Wan's heartbreak during the Mustafar confrontation, particularly his anguished cry, "You were the chosen one," remains one of the saga's most emotionally raw moments. His ability to channel Alec Guinness's mannerisms while making the character his own creates a believable bridge to the original trilogy. Ian McDiarmid's Chancellor, Palpatine/Darth Sidious, emerges as one of the film's standout performances. McDiarmid masterfully balances the character's public persona of benevolent leadership with glimpses of his true malevolent nature. His transformation from soft-spoken politician to cackling Sith Lord during the confrontation with Mace Windu serves as a chilling revelation of the mask finally being dropped. McDiarmid's ability to shift between these modes, sometimes within a single scene, makes Palpatine's manipulation of Anakin all the more convincing. Natalie Portman brings dignity to the increasingly marginalized role of Padmé Amidala. Despite limited screen time, Portman conveys Padmé's growing horror at both the political situation and Anakin's transformation. Her final scenes, where she pleads with Anakin on Mustafar, capture the tragedy of a woman watching the man she loves become unrecognizable. Portman infuses these moments with genuine emotion that amplifies the story's sense of loss. The supporting cast adds depth to the film's world. Samuel L. Jackson's Mace Windu projects unwavering conviction in his fateful confrontation with Palpatine. Christopher Lee brings aristocratic menace to Count Dooku in his brief but crucial early appearance. Jimmy Smits as Bail Organa and Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma provide glimpses of the resistance that will eventually form against the Empire, their performances suggesting the quiet determination that will outlast the Republic's fall. What's particularly noteworthy about the ensemble is how they manage to elevate dialogue that has often been criticized as stilted. The actors find emotional truth beneath the formal, stylized language Lucas employs, language deliberately reminiscent of classical tragedy and space opera. McDiarmid, especially, transforms potentially awkward exposition into mesmerizing villainy, making his recounting of the Darth Plagueis story a masterclass in subtle menace and manipulation. His delivery of "The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural" remains one of the saga's most chilling moments, conveying volumes through vocal inflection and facial control. The physical performances in the film deserve special recognition, particularly during the lightsaber combat sequences. Both Christensen and McGregor performed the majority of their own stunts and fight choreography after months of intensive training. Their dedication adds authenticity to the crucial Mustafar duel, where the physical exertion visible on screen mirrors the emotional intensity of the confrontation. Similarly, McDiarmid's performance during Palpatine's fight with Mace Windu combines physical agility with the character's gleeful embrace of his true nature, creating a pivotal moment where performance and narrative converge perfectly. The film also contains subtle performance details that reward repeated viewing. Watch Christensen's eyes during scenes with Palpatine, as they reveal Anakin's increasing susceptibility to manipulation. Notice how McGregor's posture and vocal delivery shift between his scenes with the Jedi Council versus his moments with Anakin, suggesting the conflict between his institutional role and personal attachments. Even brief appearances like Silas Carson's portrayal of Ki-Adi-Mundi proposing that the Chancellor's powers will be diminished once this conflict has ended, carry dramatic irony through performance that enriches the narrative. The voice performers contribute significantly to the film's emotional landscape. Matthew Wood's General Grievous combines mechanical menace with organic rage, while Temuera Morrison's voice work for the clone troopers adds poignancy to Order 66, as identical voices shift from loyal comrades to cold executioners. James Earl Jones's brief but iconic return as the voice of Darth Vader provides the perfect auditory punctuation to Anakin's transformation, the familiar bass resonance signaling the completion of his fall in a way no visual could match. Revenge of the Sith transcends simple space fantasy through its exploration of sophisticated political and philosophical themes. At its center lies a stark warning about the fragility of democratic institutions in the face of fear and manipulation. Palpatine's methodical dismantling of the Republic serves as a textbook example of how democracies can transform into authoritarian regimes, not through external conquest, but through internal corruption and the willing surrender of liberty. His famous line, "So this is how liberty dies," with thunderous applause, delivered as the Senate cheers the formation of the Empire, resonates as one of the saga's most politically pointed moments. The film presents a scathing critique of war as a political tool. The Clone Wars, initially positioned as a necessary response to separatist aggression, are revealed to be an elaborate deception orchestrated by Palpatine. This commentary on how conflict can be manufactured to consolidate power reflects real-world concerns about the military-industrial complex and the exploitation of security threats to justify political overreach. The Jedi, drawn into becoming generals rather than peacekeepers, lose their moral clarity and become unwitting pawns in their own destruction. Religious and philosophical themes permeate the narrative through the Jedi Order's flaws. The Jedi Council's dogmatic adherence to tradition and inability to adapt to changing circumstances contribute to their downfall. Their prohibition of attachment, which drives Anakin to seek help elsewhere for his visions of Padmé's death, raises questions about whether emotional suppression is truly a path to wisdom. Through this lens, the film examines how even institutions founded on noble principles can become rigid, blind to corruption within their ranks and within the systems they serve. The film's exploration of Anakin's fall examines the psychology of radicalization. His journey from heroic Jedi to Sith apprentice doesn't occur in a single moment, but through a series of incremental compromises, each making the next easier to justify. His slaughter of the Tusken Raiders in Attack of the Clones foreshadows his later violence, while his execution of Count Dooku represents a crucial threshold crossed. By the time he helps kill Mace Windu, Anakin has convinced himself that his actions serve a greater good, the protection of Padmé, and, as Palpatine suggests, the restoration of peace to the galaxy. Through Padmé's character, the film offers commentary on the importance of principled opposition. Her observation that this war represents a failure to listen, and her early efforts to form what will become the rebellion, emphasize that resistance to tyranny begins with recognizing dangerous patterns before they fully manifest. Though her efforts ultimately cannot prevent the Empire's rise, they plant seeds of resistance that will eventually bear fruit, suggesting that even in the darkest political moments, the actions of principled individuals matter. Revenge of the Sith occupies a unique position in the Star Wars legacy, serving as both the culmination of the prequel trilogy and the narrative bridge to the original films. Upon its 2005 release, the film received a warmer critical reception than its predecessors, with many reviewers acknowledging its darker tone and emotional weight as strengths that previous prequel entries lacked. While still criticized for dialogue issues and certain performance aspects, it was widely regarded as the strongest of the prequel trilogy, grossing over $868 million worldwide. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the film's cultural impact has been its evolving reputation over time. What began as a generation gap in Star Wars fandom has transformed into a re-evaluation of the entire prequel era. For viewers who grew up with these films as their introduction to Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith in particular holds nostalgic significance that rivals the original trilogy's impact on earlier fans. This generational shift has manifested in the explosion of prequel-focused memes and quotes that have become ubiquitous online. Phrases like, "Hello there," "I have the high ground," and "It's over, Anakin," have transcended the film to become part of internet culture. The film's influence extends beyond pop culture into subsequent Star Wars storytelling. The Clone Wars animated series built upon the foundation laid by Revenge of the Sith, deepening the emotional impact of Order 66 by developing relationships with Jedi who would fall during that purge. More recently, shows like Obi-Wan Kenobi directly continue storylines from the film, exploring the aftermath of Anakin's fall and the early days of the Empire. This interconnectedness has reinforced the film's importance within the larger saga. From a filmmaking perspective, Revenge of the Sith represented the end of an era for George Lucas's hands-on approach to Star Wars. As the last Star Wars film he would direct, it showcases both his strengths as a myth-maker and world builder and his particular visual aesthetic. The film's extensive use of digital environments and characters helped pioneer techniques that would become industry standards, even as filmmaking would later swing back toward practical effects in response to criticisms of the prequel trilogy's digital appearance. The film's depiction of Palpatine's rise to power has taken on new resonance in contemporary political discourse. As conversations about democratic backsliding and authoritarianism have become more prominent in recent years, the film's portrayal of how liberty can be surrendered willingly has been referenced in serious political analysis, demonstrating how pop culture narratives can provide accessible frameworks for understanding complex political phenomena. If you've enjoyed this analysis of how Revenge of the Sith transformed Star Wars forever, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Each week, we break down iconic films that shaped cinema history, and your support helps make these deep dives possible. Join our community of film enthusiasts as we continue exploring the galaxy of influential movies, and may the Force be with you.